Discover the miraculous truth about fallen angels, God's plan revealed for your transformation. In the land of Uz, a man named Job lived, renowned for his righteousness and blamelessness. His wealth spread far and wide, thousands of sheep, camels, oxen, and asses graced the vast expanse of his possession. Beneath the sunlit sky, Job would rise each day, his heart heavy with love for his 10 children. He offered sacrifices on their behalf, fearing they might have sinned against God, for he understood the fragility of human nature. Thus, his life reverberated with a profound trust in God's sovereignty. In the celestial realms, a gathering took place. The Lord, in his majesty, surveyed the earth and spoke to Satan, the accuser, who had come among the sons of God. Have you considered my servant Job? There is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man, who fears God and turns away from evil. Yet, instead of celebration, Satan looked upon Job with disdain, declaring, "Does Job fear God for no reason? You have blessed the work of his hands and protected him. Remove that hedge, and he will surely curse you." With this, God allowed the dark forces to test his faithful servant, setting forth a divine purpose intertwined with Job's life. Calamity struck like a tempest. As Job sat beneath the vastness of heaven, he received word that the Sabaeans raided his property, whisking away oxen and ass, leaving no trace but ashes. Then another messenger arrived, bearing heart-wrenching news. Fire from heaven consumed his sheep, and every shepherd was lost. The fateful day reached its peak when, as if orchestrated by unseen hands, a fierce wind knocked down the house where his children feasted, crushing them beneath the rubble. In this overwhelming grief, Job tore his robe and fell to the ground, crying out in worship, "The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away, blessed be the name of the Lord." His submission echoed a profound acknowledgement of God's mysterious sovereignty. Days turned to weeks, and Job sat amidst ashes, plagued by physical affliction. Painful sores marred his body, while silence shrouded heaven. Friends came to comfort him, their presence soon becoming a trial of its own. "Surely, you have sinned," they insisted. Yet, through the shadows of despair, Job resolutely held on to his integrity, grappling with life's weighty questions. Why suffer the righteous while the wicked prosper? In his vulnerable moments, he wrestled with eternity, exclaiming, "Oh, that my words were written, that they were inscribed in a book. For I know that my Redeemer lives, and at the last, he will stand upon the earth." Job's unwavering faith amidst trial reverberated through the heavens, stirring whispers among the fallen beings surrounding him, who sought to sow doubt in his heart. Before we continue with this incredible biblical account, I want to make sure you don't miss any of these powerful scripture stories. Click the bell icon and select all notifications. These biblical narratives have transformed countless lives throughout history. If God's word through this story is blessing you, please like and share with someone who needs to hear about God's faithfulness today. Tell me in the comments, which biblical story has most impacted your faith journey? I'm always amazed how God's word speaks to hearts across generations. Now let's continue with what the Lord did next. As Job wrestled with the realities of his suffering, shadows lingered above him. The whispers of the accuser hovered around him, seeking every foothold to undermine his faith. With each doubt and struggle, a greater plan unfolded in the heavenly realm, one that transcended human understanding. Would Job's unyielding faith emerge stronger from this storm? The answer loomed just beyond the horizon, for within the depths of grief lay the divine mystery of God's redemptive purpose, destined to transform Job in ways not yet visible to his earthly eyes. Job sat in silence, his heart heavy as he looked towards the heavens, searching for the constancy of divine presence in the midst of his anguish. The pain that clawed at his flesh mirrored the torment of his spirit. Night fell, and darkness wrapped around him like a shroud, intensifying his isolation. Yet, in that darkness, Job's mind raced with thoughts of his Creator. "I am but dust," he whispered, "and yet, thou art mindful of me." Psalm 8 verse 4. The sun rose once more on the land of Uz, but Job's despair met the light with unwavering resolve. As he lifted his eyes and prayed, he felt the weight of his friends, Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite, turn into a burden rather than a comfort. They gathered around him, their faces etched with pity and confusion, and began to speak. Eliphaz opened his mouth, saying, As I have seen, those who plow iniquity and sow trouble reap the same. Job 4 verse 8. The word struck Job sharply, as though a dagger had pierced his already broken heart. What sin have I committed? He cried, I have walked blamelessly before you. The accusations landed heavily, causing shadows to flicker in the corners of his soul. Bildad joined, declaring, How long will you say these things? And the words of your mouth be a great wind? Job 8 verse 2. Job felt the tempest brewing within him, battling between his heart's sorrow and the questions plaguing his spirit. Do you think God perverts justice? He exclaimed. I know where I stand, and I will plead my case before him. The conversation spiraled in futile circles, and with each dialogue, Job's pain grew deeper as he felt the chasm between his friend's understanding and his own unspeakable loss widen. I would speak to the Almighty and I desire to argue my case with God, he proclaimed, his voice filled with anguish and fervent hope, for I am certain of my innocence. Job 13 verse 3. When the din of their arguments reached a fever pitch, Job turned toward the heavens and called out, In the midst of my suffering, where are you, O Lord? Why do you hide your face from me? Job 23 verses 3 to 5. The heavens echoed back silence, and it felt as though the very throne of God had turned a deaf ear to his cries, yet even as despair threatened to overcome him, he clutched tightly to the hope of redemption. But he knows the way that I take. When he has tried me, I shall come forth as gold. Job 23 verse 10. Deep within him, a flicker of light began to burn, illuminating the darkness and propelling him toward a deeper understanding of God's purpose, a purpose that transcended his immediate pain. As the conversation waned with his friends, Job's heart began to stir with a revelation, a glimmer of the coming truth that the testing of his faith was not in vain but served a higher, divine purpose. In the shadows, unseen forces swirled, rejoicing in Job's turmoil, yet unbeknownst to them, the Lord was crafting in Job a testimony of resilience and unwavering faith, one that would resonate through generations. And as Job contemplated his journey, a profound certainty unfolded within him. I know that my Redeemer lives, utterance of a profound promise that awaited him beyond the veil of earthly suffering. Little did he know that his trial was but a step toward an expansive revelation of God's eternal plan for humanity, one that would echo through the corridors of time. Thus, amidst his anguish, a new chapter awaited not only for Job but for all who would bear witness, as the Almighty prepared to unveil the true depth of his sovereign purposes, declaring, The time has come for Job's faith to shine as a beacon in the darkness. As Job sat in silence, the air around him was thick with tension, the murmurs of his friends echoing the struggles of his heart. Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar exchanged worried glances, sensing the depths of Job's despair, but their words had become swords instead of balm. With a voice trembling yet resolute, Job turned toward them, bursting forth with a question steeped in agony and defiance. What is my transgression? What sin have I committed? Job 13 verse 23. Each syllable was like a cry upon the winds, pleading for understanding, yet his friends' faces were still shrouded in doubt. They whispered amongst themselves, uncertain, and the silence that followed was deafening. Then came Eliphaz, speaking again, his voice softer this time, Job, who can question God? Is it for man to contend with the Almighty? Job 4 verse 17. Yet Job's heart, filled with a righteous fury, did not yield. I do not seek to contest the Most High. I seek answers, he declared, his spirit refusing to be broken. Amidst the swirling conversations, a haunting wind rose, rustling the branches of the trees, whispering secrets ancient and deep. If only Job could grasp the words of this celestial breeze, might it reveal the mysteries hidden in this trial. As if sensing his turmoil, the night sky darkened, stars fading in hope of a revelation, the moon casting shadows that danced with uncertainty. Job's thoughts drifted towards the past, the blessings he once had, the wealth of family and friends. Why do you break me like this? He lamented, I was once a servant of your will, a voice for the voiceless. He recalled the days when he honored the Lord, making sacrifices for his children's sins, faithful in worship and supplication. Where is the justice in this suffering? Job 24 verse 1, his friends fell into a hushed silence, pondering the weight of his lament. For even their hearts, once intent on rebuking him, wrestled with the enigma of divine justice. Had Job not been chosen for something greater? In their hearts, they felt the stirring of something profound, yet fear held them captive. Then Bildad, emboldened by Job's unyielding spirit, ventured forth, "If your sons have sinned against him, he has cast them away." Job 8 verse 4. But these words only further ignited Job's anguish. "You know not the heart of my pain. I grieve for their loss. Why should I bear my friends' accusations in the hour of my deepest sorrow?" In the shadows, unseen by mortal eyes, the heavens stirred. A clarity began to dawn upon Job's heart, though obscured by grief. He felt within him a shift, a movement of the Spirit revealing his affliction was not merely a trial, but a prelude to a profound unveiling. "I know my Redeemer lives," Job proclaimed again, his voice steady, echoing with faith. "And though my flesh may fail, I will see him." Job 19 verses 25 to 26. Those words rang in the air, a clarion call of hope that struck a chord deep within, igniting a flicker of belief even in the hearts of his friends. Eliphaz, unmoved by reason, grasped at the remnants of his hope. "Then we must find a way to reconcile your soul with the Almighty, for a storm of divine wrath brews above us." But Job, with new resolve, proclaimed, "Let me have my day before the Lord. Let him consume this suffering. My heart shall bear witness to his greatness." And in that moment, as the heavens shifted, a profound truth emerged. What Job could not yet see was that this trial was but a reflection of a greater battle unfolding between heaven and hell, where Job's faith would emerge as a testament of righteousness. And the revelation began to dawn. In Job's trials and tribulations lay not just his redemption, but the very cryptic foundations of hope for all mankind. For through him, a new understanding would manifest, that suffering held within it an eternal purpose, one that transcended the visible and reached into the depths of human despair. Thus, as the night embraced the land of Uz, the stage was being set for a divine confrontation, a mystery waiting to be unveiled, for the time had come not only for Job's faith to shine but for God's sovereign plan to unfold in ways unseen. The whispers of the wind echoed, "He is preparing a path for you, a testimony that shall resonate through ages yet to come." As the dawn broke over the land of Uz, streaks of light pierced the remnants of night, casting a gentle illumination upon Job and his companions. The palpable tension in the air transformed into a heavy silence, and in that stillness, Job's heart stirred with an awakening desire. With the remnants of night still lingering, he rose from the ashes that had become both his throne of despair and his place of refuge. "I will not silence the anguish of my heart," Job declared, raising his voice into the vastness of the sky. "Let my cry reach the heavens, for within my soul lies an echo of every tear shed in the night." Job 7 verse 11. His words were both a lamentation and a declaration of faith, reverberating through the air like an urgent prayer. Eliphaz looked upon his friend with a mixture of concern and resignation. "Job, in your mourning, has your spirit become unmoored? Is it not written that the Lord's thoughts are not our thoughts, nor his ways our ways?" Isaiah 55 verse 8. Would Job's relentless faith withstand the weight of divine sovereignty, or would he falter amidst circumstances that appeared insurmountable? Job turned his gaze toward them all, fierce resolve kindling within. "Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him," he proclaimed, wrapping his arms tightly around the grief that bound his heart. Job 13 verse 15. In that moment, the very essence of his suffering felt as if it wielded the power to unlock profound truths hidden within the fabric of creation itself. What mortal man has not wrestled with the heart of God in the face of injustice? Thus, as Job's voice boldened, a celestial ripple seemed to compose the very air around him. The eyes of heaven gazed down through the winds, as if observing a sacred yet severed connection. Unseen celestial beings, hovering on the brink of visibility, strained to hear the unfolding covenant between heaven and earth. A stirring began among the stars, who awaited the outcome of this testimony of faith. Then came Zophar, with fiery conviction spilling forth from his lips. "Job, it is not your affliction alone that merits this inquiry," he asserted. "Consider the incomprehensible wisdom of the Almighty. Have you not seen how the wicked may prosper for a time?" Job 20 verse 5. But in Zophar's zeal to uphold divine justice, a shadow of doubt crept into Job's heart. Would this period of intense trial lead not toward vindication but to deeper and darker despair? Job, however, felt the stirrings of truth rising as he recalled the deeds of the wicked. But the triumph of the wicked is short-lived. Their joy is fleeting, and their paths lead to destruction. Can you not see that it is our faithfulness amid affliction that demonstrates the heart of the Lord's covenant? Job 8 verse 13. In agreement with Job's passionate declaration, Eliphaz's countenance softened as he leaned closer. Ah, Job, from your plight, the truth about righteousness may yet explode into life, for the day is drawing near when the faithful shall shine as the stars in the heavens. Job pondered the weight of their words amidst his pain, feeling the unraveling threads of a much larger narrative. For in each moment of suffering lay the seeds of transformation, not just for him alone, but for all who would come after. My sorrow is but a shadow in the light of his glory, Job murmured, the fervor of his spirit igniting a glimmer of hope amidst despair. That he glanced toward the horizon where the sun's rays began to stretch wider still, silhouetting the mountains with golden promise. What if my struggle is not merely my own? What if this is the very crucible in which divine purpose is forged, offering strands of wisdom to generations yet unborn? And as those thoughts swirled, a shroud of divine mystery enveloped the land. It became evident that within the suffering of one man resided the key to a greater redemption that would resonate through the ages. Truly, Job's anguish was poised at the threshold of revelation. The angels whispered to one another in awe, for the time was near when the overture of God's purpose would emerge from the shadows, for what lay ahead was the unveiling of a promise written into the cosmos, a promise entwined in Job's trials that would transform not only his fate but echo through the tapestry of time, revealing that from his deepest sorrow would arise a testimony greater than he could imagine. Thus, the stage was set, and the heavens awaited the announcement of God's sovereign plan. What shall be the outcome when the Almighty speaks? As the sun rose ever higher, infusing the land of Uz with its warm brilliance, Job's mind grew restless, swirling with thoughts of both despair and unyielding faith. He gazed up, as if searching for the mercy of heaven, pondering the paradox that enveloped him, the sacred struggle within the bounds of divine sovereignty. Where is God, my Maker, who gives songs in the night? Job cried out, gripping the earth beneath him, as the very ground felt like shifting sand. Is not the heart of man fashioned in his image? Can he not be found in times of great trial? Job 35 verse 10. His lament punctured the heavens, swirling in the wind, an echo of the silent whispers of countless souls who had walked a path of suffering. In response to Job's outcry, the shadows among his companions deepened. Eliphaz, catching the weight of his friend's sorrow, spoke gently yet firmly, "The Spirit speaks through the silence. Job, have you not felt the breath of wisdom in the stillness?" Job 32 verse 8. His heart was torn between compassion for Job's plight and the pull of spiritual truth that echoed in their midst. Sometimes, it is through our deepest anguish that our understanding of God's nature finds breath. Indeed, let us not forget, interjected Zophar, fervently grasping at the strands of hope woven within the tapestry of despair. For the Lord knows our hearts, His purpose is unfathomable and shall lead us from the grave to glory. Job 11 verse 7. Despite his initial harshness, Zophar felt a stirring compassion arise within, as he contemplated the divine design written over Job's life. A heavy silence fell among them, broken only by the distant rustling of leaves, echoing the sorrow that hung in the air. Job, amidst the turmoil of his spirit, began to perceive a breakthrough in understanding that his affliction was not futile, nor the end of his story. What if these trials are to mold me, refine me, as silver in the crucible? He pondered aloud. Shall my life not yield a testament to His greatness? Psalm 66 verse 10. The resonance of Job's faith stirred his companions, and they exchanged glances filled with a mixture of awe and trepidation. Could it be that Job's suffering was a divine instrument meant to unveil the depths of God's mercy and power? And if my Redeemer lives, Job proclaimed, bolstered by hope that bloomed despite the arid landscape of despair, I shall see Him upon the earth, my eyes shall behold and not another. Job 19 verses 25 to 27. The promise of a Savior surged in his heart, urging him toward understanding that beyond each painful moment, a revelation awaited. In that sacred space, the earth trembled slightly, as though the very rocks yearned to bear witness to this unfolding drama of faith. The divine and earthly realms seemed to collide, for Job's lament had transcended mortal suffering, a signal for the heavenly host to take notice. Job, Eliphaz said, his voice softened and deliberate. There's a greater narrative at play. Do not underestimate the weight of your witness. Your trials shall echo through generations, demonstrating that even in despair, the Lord's purposes prevail. Job's heart swelled with a renewed sense of divine purpose. Let my life, even in pain, serve as a beacon of hope. He declared, the fervor of spiritual warfare roaring within him. As the sun hung high, striking rays of light danced across the landscape, and the air became thick with expectation. What revelation awaits? Job mused, sensing the fabric of heaven weaving through his struggle, anticipating the moment when God would speak forth truths of great import. And thus, the skies trembled with promise, as a whisper brewed among the celestial realms. From the depths of Job's turmoil, a truth would emerge, heralding the semblance of God's sovereign design, as the cosmic stage awaited its climax. What did the Almighty have planned to unfold through Job's endurance? The silence of heaven trembled on the brink of revelation, a divine narrative yet to be unveiled. As the day waned and shadows lengthened across the land of Uz, Job remained steadfast in the grip of hope and despair. His senses attuned to the ethereal stirrings that surrounded him. His heart, a vessel of conflicting emotions, echoed with the truth of his cries, both an affirmation of faith and a plea for understanding. Is not the Lord our God a refuge in times of trouble? Job mused quietly, summoning the words of David. He covers us with his feathers, and under his wings we find shelter. Psalm 91 verses 1-4. In the depth of his anguish, Job envisioned himself enfolded in the protective embrace of the Almighty, though the weight of his afflictions pressed down like a heavy cloud at the edge of the circle of companions. Bildad raised his voice, filled with a mixture of caution and reverence. Job, remember, the paths of the Lord are circuitous yet filled with righteousness. Can man contend with God? Let us seek wisdom and understanding, for the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Proverbs 1 verse 7. His earnestness sought to redirect their focus toward the greater designs of divine providence. Eliphaz nodded solemnly, let us beseech him, for our prayers may yet resonate within his courts. He led them to bow in unity, hands clasped together, hearts aglow with fervent supplication. Despite Job's harrowing trials, faith flickered like a candle's flame, undeterred by the storm raging within. Enough of these solemn tones, Zophar urged, filled with a new fervor, as the wave breaks upon the shore, so shall your anguish yield to God's mercy. Lift your eyes, Job. For your Redeemer desires to use your story as a testament of his glory. Job 11 verses 13-15. Each voice echoed a blend of assurance and challenge, a reminder that in suffering, they might find strength to rise. With courage tucked into the corners of his trembling heart, Job declared anew, though he slay me, yet will I trust in him, I will defend my ways to his face. Job 13 verse 15. Those words, fierce and bold, rang out against the backdrop of the evening air, forceful against the doubts that sought to entangle him. As they prayed, the night deepened, draping the land in velvety darkness, punctured by distant stars twinkling like heavenly messengers. It was then, as the silence enveloped them, that a stirring of hope emerged like shafts of light piercing through clouds. Job's soul felt ignited, a flicker of revelation unfurling within him. In the hushed atmosphere, Job sensed an anticipation, a whisper of promises yet unfulfilled. There is a purpose in what I endure, he breathed, a renewed vigor sweeping the isolation from his heart. This trial shall not be in vain. What if my suffering leads to a grand narrative, a journey of redemption wrought through pain? In that pivotal moment, the ground trembled again, but this time with an urgency that sent ripples through the air, as though the very earth sought to herald the unfolding truth. A heavenly chorus seemed to call, Job. Your story is but a fragment of a greater masterpiece. Let every tear serve as a testament, he cried, unrestrained, for even the strong will fade, yet those who believe shall rise again like the sun after the night. The embers of hope ignited in his companions too, spurring them to concur and rally, igniting their spirits amidst the gathering gloom. In that sacred hour of prayerful unity, as they lingered on the precipice of the divine, the heavens stirred. An unseen force beckoned. A revelation was imminent, a divine unveiling poised to chart the landscapes of their lives. What extraordinary destiny awaited Job? The night held its breath in anticipation, with celestial forces at play, eager for the moment when God's sovereign purpose would erupt forth from the shadows of despair. The weight of the promise loomed large, yet the truth lay beyond the horizon, shimmering like dawn on the cusp of darkness. What would emerge from this crucible of trial, this divine plan written upon the hearts of men? Only the Almighty held the answers within his eternal embrace. As the night unfolded in solemn stillness, Job, with fervent heart and lifted gaze, felt a stirring within him, a current of divine energy drawing him forth. In the midst of darkness, an awe-inspiring light began to pierce the fabric of his despair. His friends felt it too, as though the very atmosphere thrummed with the vibrancy of revelation, awakening something dormant within their souls. "Behold!" Job exclaimed, interrupting the quietude that wrapped around them. "What if this night be a witness to the unfurling of God's purpose? What if my afflictions serve a higher calling?" He looked upon his companions, their brows furrowed with uncertainty, yet their spirits maintained an ember of hope. Bildad whispered softly, "Job, perhaps this is a time for divinely inspired insight. Let us listen intently, for the Lord is known to reveal his mysteries in moments such as these." Zophar, ever impassioned, leaned forward, his countenance ablaze. "If the Almighty speaks," he declared, "then let us mend our hearts to his will, for he delights in the humble and the contrite." And so they waited, the heavy air laden with expectation. Slowly, as if answering the sacred yearning of a collective spirit, clouds drifted apart, revealing an expanse of stars sparkling brightly above, each a testimony of God's glory and omnipotence. In that moment of ethereal splendor, a voice resounded from the heavens, a voice unlike any earthly sound, layered with authority and grace. "Job, faithful servant, stand firm, for I shall declare my ways before you." With trepidation, Job steadied his breath, listening as the heavenly utterance seeped into the marrow of his being. "Have you not known? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth." Isaiah 40 verse 28. Each word was as a balm to his weary soul, whispering truths known yet forgotten in the depths of suffering. "Your trials are transient, but my purposes endure forever." The voice continued, resonating like thunder in the midst of a gentle breeze. "They are but a shadow compared to the weight of glory that shall follow." Job's heart raced. What glory could emerge from such depths? He breathed, yearning for clarity, and yet sensing the stirring of hope surging anew. "Each affliction, a divine brushstroke upon the canvas of your life," the voice replied. "What you perceive as desolation, I shall transpose into restoration. Your story of suffering will articulate a greater narrative, one of mercy and redemption, that spans the ages." His companions knelt, their eyes closed as they absorbed the enormity of the moment, praying earnestly that each word would penetrate the walls of their understanding. In that sacred silence, an idea danced upon the edges of Job's mind, kindled by God's declaration. "Even as I walk through this valley of shadow, I shall emerge a witness to your unfathomable grace," he spoke gently, his voice quivering with newfound strength. "You shall turn my mourning into dancing, my sorrow into joy." Psalm 30 verse 11. As the revelation settled within Job's spirit, he felt the weight of despair lifting, the power of God's promise illuminating the path before him. "What if I am chosen to reveal the truth of your heart through my suffering?" he whispered. With the final remnants of that potent light shining upon the earth, the voice faded gently into the stillness, yet its impact lingered, echoing in the hearts of all present. And thus a mystery returned, a divine thread woven through the tapestry of Job's trials, hinting at the significance yet untold. "Remember, Job," the voice departed, cascading into the silence, "my ways are not your ways, nor my thoughts your thoughts. The appointed time draws near, where faith shall meet fulfillment, and the world shall witness my sovereignty revealed through your life. In that lingering moment of expectancy, the landscape of their existence held a certain vibrancy. What greater revelation awaited them? What transformation lay ahead, veiled yet pregnant with purpose? Only time would unfold the intricacies of God's sovereign plan, as Job's heart quickened with the promise of a divine resolution approaching on the horizon. As dawn's first light washed over the horizon, gilding the heavens with hues of gold and amber, Job sat in quiet reflection. The echoes of God's voice still reverberated in his mind, a sacred commission stirring his heart anew. With renewed fervor, he looked upon his friends, their faces illuminated not just by the rising sun, but by the dawning realization of a divine purpose unfolding. "What are we to do?" Job inquired, his voice steady yet soft. "How shall we prepare ourselves for what the Lord has set before us?" Eliphaz, who had been silent in contemplation, lifted his eyes like a watchman spotting the morning star. "We must pursue righteousness, Job. Let us offer our hearts to the Almighty, seeking His wisdom that we may walk in His ways." Zophar nodded fervently. "Indeed. For where the Spirit of the Lord guides, there is freedom and light," he proclaimed, unable to contain his zeal. "Let us bring forth an offering, a tribute of our praise, and He will reveal more of Himself to us." Job, his heart swelling with understanding, suggested, "Let us call upon the name of the Lord and intercede for one another. Perhaps our prayers will be the incense that rises before His throne." And so they gathered, a circle of unity in shared faith. They lifted their hands toward heaven, their voices harmonizing in a chorus of supplication, beseeching the Lord as one seeking communion, yearning for revelation, crying out for healing. "Almighty God," Job cried, "you know the depths of our hearts. We come before you, acknowledging our frailty and your boundless grace. Show us, O Lord, the path of righteousness." In the stillness that followed their fervent cries, the ground trembled beneath them, and the air crackled with anticipation. Suddenly, the heavens opened, revealing a celestial brilliance that filled the scene with light. The voice they had heard before enveloped them, rich and reverberating with divine authority. "Fear not, for I am with you. I have heard your prayers and seen your humility. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled." A sense of awe descended upon the gathering, and Job's heart began to race as the voice continued. "You, Job, are to be my instrument, a vessel through which my narrative shall unfold. For as I have chosen you in your suffering, so too shall I transform your pain into purpose, and every tear shall be a seed of testimony." Job's spirit soared as understanding washed over him. "Am I to preach, O Lord? To declare your truths in the land?" He dared to ask, the wonder of the divine plan beginning to envelop him. "Indeed," the voice affirmed, "but first, you must experience the fullness of my restoration. Through you, many shall behold my glory, and your anguish shall give way to joy." This journey does not end at your suffering, it begins there, advancing with purpose toward a great revelation. This declaration ignited a flicker of hope within each heart present. Job's friends mirrored the wonder reflected in his eyes, understanding that their own faith was intertwined with the destiny that hung in the balance. "Thus shall I guide you through valleys unknown," God proclaimed, "and nations shall witness how I bring forth beauty from ashes. Keep in your hearts my promise, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Jeremiah 29 verse 11. As the divine splendor began to fade, Job felt a profound stirring within him, a deepened sense of purpose layered with anticipation. "What shall I do now, Lord?" he declared, with fervor igniting his soul. "Be still and know that I am God," the voice replied, resonating like a sweet whisper through the firmament. "The time shall soon come when your faith shall manifest in a way that will unveil the fullness of my covenant." In that sacred moment, with hearts ablaze with divine promise, an enduring mystery lingered in the air. What magnificent work awaited them on the path ahead? What transformation did God have in store, concealed yet imminent? The journey was only just beginning, and the depth of His sovereign plan was unfurling before them, ready to reveal even greater wonders. As the light of dawn blossomed fully, illuminating the world around them, Job and his friends remained enveloped in a sacred stillness. The air, still electric with the echoes of God's words, seemed to pulse with promise. Job felt the weight of the divine task ahead pressing upon his spirit like the heavy dew upon the grass. "I understand now," Job spoke, a trembling note of determination in his voice. "The path before us is not one paved with ease, but rather with trials that will shape us. We must prepare our hearts for the work of the Lord, and I must signify this calling through my life." Eliphaz, emboldened by the divine encounter, replied, "Yes, Job. Our hope is not in our circumstances but in our belief that God's power is made perfect in our weakness. Let us encourage one another, for together we stand stronger against the foe." Indeed, Zophar chimed in, his spirit aflame. "Through trials, we shall witness the restoration of the Lord. Let our lives be testimonies that declare His greatness." In unison, they declared their commitment to this mission, a covenant formed in faith, their voices rising fervently like flames before the altar. With impassioned hearts, they turned to seek the Lord in prayer once more, drawing inspiration from the Scriptures. Job led them, invoking the words of the psalmist, "You are my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust," Psalm 91 verse 2. As they prayed, the air thickened around them, and again the earth shuddered, a holy manifestation encouraging their spirits. The voice resounded from the heavens with a renewed urgency. "I have set before you a mission, my faithful servants. You shall stand against the darkness, and my light shall shine through you. Yet understand this, the trials ahead will be many, but in them, my glory shall be revealed." The friends, shrouded in holy expectation, exchanged knowing glances, for they felt a stirring of unity unlike any before. Then Job, emboldened by the Spirit, declared, "We will rise like young eagles, O Lord. For your promise stands true, but those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles, they will run and not grow weary, they will walk and not be faint." Isaiah 40 verse 31. In the depths of their hearts, they resolved to engage with the impending challenges. A sense of mission now coursed through their veins, binding them together with a purpose greater than themselves. God's voice continued, unwavering, as if cutting through the turmoil of uncertainty. "Hear me, O my servants. For your pain will serve as a testament to the world of my unfailing grace. From ashes, I will raise a generation that knows what it means to truly trust in their God. You shall tell of the wonders I will perform, even as the whispers of doubt encircle you." "Lord, what shall we face?" Job asked, gripped by both fear and curiosity. "How shall we contend against those who oppose us?" The voice echoed like thunder from the heavens. "You will encounter the adversary, who seeks to sow discord and despair. Yet fear not, for I shall grant you wisdom to discern truth from lies, and strength to overcome. The day of reckoning shall come, where every tear shed shall be counted and every sigh understood. My glory shall break forth in your midst." As the sun climbed higher, bathing them in its golden warmth, Job and his friends felt an invincible hope stirring in their midst. It was a flame lit by the very Spirit of the Almighty, promising that not even the darkness of suffering could extinguish their light. In that divine moment, an overarching mystery began to unfold. Secretly, they sensed that their faith and perseverance were to be part of something far greater, something that was intricately woven into the fabric of creation itself. "Prepare your hearts," the voice commanded gently yet sternly, "for what lies ahead is beyond your understanding. But know this, my plan shall culminate in the triumph of my purpose. As I have revealed unto you, the time shall come when my covenant will be fulfilled, and all things will be made new. You will find it is not only your trials that will be transformed, but through you, the world shall see my sovereign hand at work." The echo of this promise left them spellbound, each one grappling with the magnitude of what God was weaving through them, not just for themselves, but for all the nations. What great transformation awaited them, and how would they behold God's sovereign plan in its fullness? The air was thick with anticipation, a thrilling promise just beyond their grasp. As the sun illuminated the land of Uz with its resplendent light, Job stood at the precipice of transformation. In the stillness of the moment, he felt the weight of divine anticipation pressing upon him, as if heaven itself held its breath in expectation of what was to come. With a heart reverberating with the truth of God's eternal promises, Job turned to his friends, who had been witnesses to his trial and now served as companions in the unfolding of destiny. "Brothers," Job proclaimed with newfound fervor, "the Lord has spoken to us this day. We stand upon sacred ground, for our afflictions shall bear fruit, a testimony to his unfailing grace and power. We shall rise, not mere survivors of our suffering, but conquerors of it, revealing forth the profound beauty that God brings from ashes." His voice echoed, ringing with authority as it broke through the lingering shadows of despair. Eliphaz, emboldened by Job's words, nodded solemnly. "Indeed, let us forge ahead together. Our faithfulness will be the cornerstone of this mission. We are chosen vessels, crafted for such a time as this." His voice, once tremulous, now sang a melody of resolute commitment. Zophar, filled with youthful zeal, responded fervently, "We will not walk in hesitation but advance in brave faith. Our grieving hearts shall be transfixed with hope." The fervor of unity ignited their spirits, as anticipation of what lay ahead crystallized a shared vision among them. Within the celestial realms, a stirring was felt, as angels gathered to behold the unfolding narrative. They too awaited the appointed time for God's glory to be revealed through Job's trials, understanding that his story carried a weighty significance echoing through time. Each heart in that heavenly assembly embraced the sanctity of Job's purpose, longing to see the redemption that would arise from seemingly insurmountable sorrow. The dawn unfurled itself across the land as Job continued to inspire his friends. "Let us remember, my brothers, though we face many trials, our strength shall be renewed. For our Redeemer lives, and his light will pierce through the night of our anguish." His firm resolution resonated deep within them, igniting the flame of faith that pulsated within their hearts. With one accord, Job led his comrades in a renewed offering of prayer, calling upon the name of the Lord. Their supplications rose like incense to the heavens, unyielding in their quest for understanding and restoration. In this sacred communion, the air thickened with divine presence, and the Spirit ushered in an overwhelming sense of peace, knitting their hearts in a fabric of unwavering hope. Then came the moment. The veil of heaven parted once more, this time emanating an incandescent light that bathed them all, as God's voice thundered in profound clarity. "Job, I have heard your cries and seen your faith. Your suffering was not without purpose, it has served to demonstrate the resilience of my covenant to all creation. You shall not only be restored but shall rise as a testimony against the accuser, declaring the splendor of my name." As the reverberations of his declaration settled, joy flooded Job's heart, and warmth engulfed his companions. "O Mighty One, you have transformed the depths of my sorrow into a wellspring of hope." Job cried, his voice punctuated with triumphant praise. In that sacred moment, God continued, "Behold, I restore unto you double for your trouble. Your latter days shall be greater than your former." And as the light enveloped them, Job felt his spirit lift. His soul was unshackled from the confines of despair, as new strength coursed through him. With the promise ringing in the air, Job and his friends beheld the transformation of their collective spirit. Their faith intertwined, now blended with a shared mission to carry forth the message of hope to all who suffer, a living testament to the reality of God's grace in times of trial. As they stood together, the land of Uz breathed with newfound vibrancy, a reflection of the victory wrought over anguish. And Job, restored and renewed, became a beacon of light, illuminating the path for others to find their way through the darkness. And so it came to pass that Job's story resonated throughout the ages, a narrative not merely of suffering endured, but of faith unwavering in a Redeemer who transforms. Through him, the world witnessed that God's love shines brightest in the shadows, gifting strength beyond measure to those who dare to hope. In this truth, the journey of faith continues, echoing in hearts as they traverse their own trials, eternally inviting them closer to the divine embrace, the everlasting promise of restoration woven through the tapestry of their lives. As we reflect upon Job's story and the magnitude of God's sovereign plan, let us carry this truth forward. Our trials can serve as catalysts for redemption, connecting us to a legacy of hopeful endurance. Beloved, do not delay. Subscribe immediately to the channel and stay connected to God's truth through these powerful biblical stories. Like this message now to help spread his word across the world. for this is the moment to embolden hope. Comment below and share your reflections on how Job's journey has impacted your faith, and do not wait even one more second. Share this life-changing video with at least 5 friends who need to hear God's promise of restoration today.